Okay, it's Sunday again, and we've got another game lined up. Once again, no 40k. We still haven't really read the book, so we decided to have another Warhammer game. This time, it's a bit different. We're actually playing 2,400 points. We normally play 3,000, but we decided to see just how effective Skaven are with a more kind of concentrated list, because they seem to retain all their tricks, but they don't really gain much from 3,000. So we just wanted to see if they were more powerful on a 2,400 point list. The same with vampire counts, really, just to see how they perform with 600 points less. Just thought it'd be interesting. Right, so we're playing Blood and Glory. Like I say, 2,400 points. This is vampire counts deployment. So we have a spirit host. 9 Black Knights with a Vampire Lord, who's a level 1. 24 Graveguard. Proxy for a Mortis Engine. It's got the Blasphemous Tome. We've got 20 Zombies with a Master Necromancer and a level 1 Necromancer. Got 20 Ghouls, 40 Skeletons, 6 Crypt Horrors, and 40 Zombies. And that's it. So, not really much different from the 3,000 point list. In fact, I'm not even sure what is different, but hopefully I'm not cheating. We'll find out. So, let's have a look at size list.
Yeah, my 2,400 point Skaven list is actually fairly unchanged as well. Having dropped a few relative unnecessaries, I've still maintained a fairly similar list. So here on my left flank, I have a Hell Pit Abomination, deployed right at the back, for obvious reasons. I have a unit of Skaven Slaves, a Doom Wheel, my classic unit of Plague Monks of Doom, led by the Plague Priest in a Furnace. At the back here, I have a bunker unit of Clan Rats. That has my general. Not quick head taker today, but my normal general is getting a sort of display paint job, and I don't want to risk him at the moment until I've got some varnish on him now. So Queek is having to step in for him. Also in there is the BSB and the Gracier, so Eggs and Basket comes to mind. But if he gets into that, it's pretty much game over anyway. So since it's Blood and Glory, because there's pretty much my entire army's breaking point in that one unit. But
if I can gaze with the gash that off on the first turn, I will.
Yeah, basically. Although they're leadership 10, but to be fair, that's leadership 10 reroll. That's a pretty good chance of that happening with my luck. Basically, the major change in my army composition is that the 2 big units of Clan Rats were dropped down to 1 small unit of Clan Rats, and then I took a unit of 30, these guys are proxied at the moment, 30 Storm Vermin, led by the Island of Blood Chieftain, who has a little trick up his sleeve in the form of some Skaven brew, so I hope it's not too manky and gone off. And they have a Rattling gun. Which reminds me, I should have deployed the other Rattling gun, which will go sort of here.
Right.
I forgot about that, sorry. Then next to here is the other Doom Wheel, and then I've got another big unit of Skaven Slaves. Both the units of Skaven Slaves are led by Warlock Engineers, although this time I've decided to drop the caster level off, because he wasn't really doing much, and other than like an extra like 1 in 6 chance of getting a 1 channel, he wasn't really doing anything, and spending like an extra 50 points, well actually an extra 75 when you consider I took the condenser as well, just for that. It's a rip-off. So I've just given him a Death Globe and left him at that. So 2 nice dirt cheap dirty Warlock Engineers. That's pretty much my army. Really, I dropped the Warp Lightning Cannons, which followers of this channel will know are utterly useless in my hands. They may be some of the most broken artefacts known to man, in Warhammer 8th edition, but not in my hands, so I've mugged them off totally. I've also dropped I kind of dropped out my gutter runners and the rat darts, and that saved me most of the 600 points I needed, and then I've just sort of jiggled a few things about. So I've still got quite an effective what I hope is an effective army, and I've ended up with a fairly nice extra hammer unit, which is good. So yeah, we shall have to see what happens in the first turn.
Okay, I won the roll to go first. So turn one, I just kind of shuffled around a bit, sort of nudged a little bit further forward. The reliquary, is that called the reliquary? Yeah, the reliquary went off. Got 9 inches, which so the general's unit and all these units other than the crypt ghouls have got 6 up regen, which is nice. General's unit moved up a bit further forward, as did the spirit host. And then I had a magic phase, managed to cast Invocation of the Heck with a range of 12. Got 15 more zombies here, and I think 9 more here. Yeah, I think it was 9. And then that was it. I did attempt to cast Raise Dead, but he dispelled it. So, pretty quick turn. And yeah, so the end of Vampire Counts turn 1.
Okay, end of Skaven turn 1. Everyone pretty much just moved up. My unit of slaves have edged forward to try and tank the rather nasty unit of Doom coming up here. The bunker unit has just sort of moved up for the protected bubble. I had to take a bit of a risky manoeuvre with my hell pit and managed to roll absolutely perfectly, nice 10 inches. So he didn't actually impact into the unit and wound anyone, which was awesome. So yeah, I might actually be able to fit him through and do something. Excuse me. Everyone else has just sort of moved up. I managed to roll Frenzy on the Storm Vermin with the Skaven Brew. And in the magic phase I cast Blessed with Filth. I managed to get 11 dice, and Blessed with Filth was the only thing in range. I got pretty much, I got 22. Ollie failed to dispel, so it's probably not going to do much, but just in case. And everything sort of moved up. This lone Doom Wheel kind of Leroyed it straight at the foe, rolling 17. So he's right up there in the midst of the army, totally unsupported. However, I did get quite a nice spot of luck in my shooting phase, where I fired this guy's Doom Rocket and wiped out 2/3 of the Grave Guard. So yeah, it's probably not good for that Doom Wheel still, but everything else is going pretty nicely. So yeah, we'll have to see how the battle goes in Vampire Counts turn 2.
Okay, end of Vampire Counts turn 2. Did some charging. The zombies attempted to charge the Doom Wheel and failed. These guys pretty much stayed where they are. The ghouls and the Grave Guard charged into the Doom Wheel. They managed to wound to it, and the Doom Wheel unfortunately he did his walk blind and kill a couple of Grave Guard. But just with static combat res, I managed to beat him, and he fled. So he's kind of in the way there. He's got a wound on him. The general and the Black Knights just kind of moved around a bit, and the spirit host charged into the side of the slaves. Probably not the best idea, but luckily I did do 2 wounds and managed to draw the combat, so I haven't taken any wounds on that yet. So luckily that paid off. Really, I should have just moved to redirect them, but never mind. Yeah, and the magic phase, I got I think 6 dice, 5 to Sai, 1 to me. We're both channeled. Cast the first spell, which was he spell scrolled, which was Raise Dead. And then I managed to roll 2 dice again and get Irresistible Force. Rolled twice on the Blasphemous Tome team, and luckily got off scot-free with a 6 and a 7. So my Necromancer Lord took a wound, and I lost like 5 zombies. But that was to cast an Invocation of Nehek, which luckily I replenished my ghouls, got 10 Graveguard back, and gained about 10 more zombies, although I lost 5 in the miscast. So other than the Necromancer taking a wound, that wasn't too bad. I lost the remaining Dispel dice, but that was okay. It's only had 2 left, and Sai still had 6 Dispel dice, so they wouldn't have been any use anyway, unless I'd rolled another Irresistible Force, which I'm sure would have been likely. So, and that was it. So the Doomwheel's over there, and he's running away, which is lovely. And yeah, everything else is as you see. So that's the end of Vampire Counts Turn 2.
Okay, end of Skaven turn. This is turn 2, isn't it?
Yes.
Not a bad phase for Skaven. Still dueling with the Spirit Host over here. Basically, it did a wound and then lost due to combat res, so took a crumble. My Doomwheel managed to come back. The Help Hit basically bounced off this unit, killed 3 guys. The General's bunker unit moved forward a bit, bring the Grey Seer within range of spells. This weapon team moved up a bit, get it in range of some stuff. This weapon team stayed still, basically put 2 wounds on the Crypt Horrors. These guys stayed back, not wanting to risk a charge. The slaves attempted to charge at the zombies, but it failed. It turned out actually to be a pretty damn good idea. Once this moved up and the magic phase hit, the Plague Monks charged into the Graveguard and ghouls. Basically, in the magic phase, I had a Wither, but Ollie dispelled it, and then he let through a Plague, which wiped out 35 of the zombies, and then I got a lucky jump and wiped out just about half the unit of skeletons as well. So he lost a sort of sizable chunk of his force there. And then shooting phase, like I said, put 2 wounds on the Crypt Horrors, killed a couple more zombies with the Zap Blast from the Doomwheel. And then in close combat was the sort of piece de resistance of the Skaven army, essentially, where the Plague Monks wiped out the Graveguard and the ghouls for the loss of 10 of their own number, even though Holly made a ridiculous set of armour saves for the Graveguard, which basically stopped it from being an utter rout. But it was a good turn for Skaven. But this is going to be the inevitable turn 3 counterback. So we'll see what Vampire Counts have to do next.
Okay, end of Vampire Counts Turn 3. The zombies charged into the Doomwheel. Managed to do... I don't think they did anything to it, but it ended up fleeing anyway. It lost the combat by 1. Fled, I think, 6 inches, and the zombies caught it with a massive 11. So they've killed 2 Doomwheels now, so they're doing pretty well. Not this game, obviously, but over 2 games, that's pretty good for a load of zombies. What else? The Crypt Horrors just moved up. The zombies are still hanging back. I see no point in going into those until it's absolutely necessary. The Necromancer and the Master Necromancer bailed from the zombies because they're pretty much doomed, I think. The Skeletons charged into his bunker just to sort of pin it in place. The Black Knights charged into the Doomwheel and slaughtered it, with the Vampire Lord doing, I think, about 8 wounds to it. The Spirit Host managed to hold out in combat, which is lovely because that's just what I needed. It's only got 1 wound left now though. The Skeletons did actually lose the combat, but there's still that many left. It's just enough to hold them, which is fine. And that's it, pretty much. So, had a magic phase, managed to get off A big invocation, which obviously replenished the skeletons, made some more zombies here, and healed up the crypt horrors. Unfortunately dispelled my raised dead, which was a shame. And that was pretty much it. So, sort of hanging in the balance really. He's got my general over here, and I've got his general over here, so to see what happens. So it really is a bit, after I lost those 2 units I was a bit worried, but then I kind of looked at the greater picture and I don't really need them necessarily, but I do need this to not be chopping my guys up. So if I have to sacrifice half my army to stop it, then so be it. So yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of Skaven turn 3, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so Skaven turn 3 coming up.
Okay, end of Skaven turn 3. I suspect this is probably going to be about my last turn. Even though the plague furnace has done exceptionally well, it wiped out the mortis engine. Didn't suffer too much in retaliation. Ollie got ridiculously lucky, made 3 6-up regen saves out of 4 wounds on that little necromancer out of there. Although he did take 2 on that guy, his main wizard lord. So yeah, there's no more mortis engine now. Over here, the slaves finally managed to kill the spirit host through combat res. In the middle, the bunker unit, well, it never really was combat-y. I mean, even with a warlord and a bloody BSB, they're Skaven characters, so they suck balls. They're not really geared for combat anyway, so it's just unfortunate that in this particular scenario they're about to get wiped out. Storm vermin charged in here. I managed to kill 2 of the number. So yeah, it's kind of it's not too bad result out of there. Yeah, just essentially, if we were playing another type of game, I'd be pretty damn confident about now and cackling with glee, but unfortunately we're not. So yeah, I'm a bit less so. But yeah, we'll see how turn 4 turns out, and then we'll see about what happens after that. So yeah, Vampire Counts turn 4 next.
Okay, the end of Vampire Counts turn 4, and it's over. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, the Black Knights charged in, and they ended the Skaven General's life. Well, he charged in, and just attacked the Warlord outright, killed him, did him like 4 wounds. Side attack back, killed a couple of skeletons, but then the Black Knights just did irreparable damage, and the combat res was just huge, and it was over. He broke and consequently lost his BSB and his standard, thus putting him at the break point. So other things that did happen were just the necromancer over here threw all 6 dice of the magic phase, which I don't advocate normally, but as he had no real bearing on the game, I decided to get off the big invocation just to give myself some more Black Knights, and also to help break his steadfast. But I got off quite lightly. He only lost 2 levels, so it was really worth it. That 1 extra Black Knight, really, well, the extra Black Knights is what turned out to break his steadfast, which obviously helped massively to break the whole unit. So he did really well there. Everything else is pretty much as you see it. Yeah, so victory to the Vampire Counts. Unfortunately, size breakpoint was pretty much in that unit, which is what was going to happen in a smallish game, I guess, when you have a bunker unit. I mean, my bunker unit had 3 of my breakpoints in, and it didn't actually. My bunker unit had 1 of mine in because the general was in this unit. So I suppose it is a bunker, but yeah, so my 3 breakpoints were in there. But then I had 7, so I had a bit of a buffer, even if I had lost my general. But yeah, it was a pretty good game. Certainly a lot different playing the smaller game. It seems a lot more decisive. You know, like 1 mistake could cost you, whereas you could probably bounce back in a 3,000 point game. Sai utterly destroyed my army, but luckily I just well, the mission was to kill to make the breakpoint, so that's what I did. I think really the game was down to the spirit host holding these up, and thus that window of opportunity opened here, so I could charge these guys in and get up right in behind his lines. Because he really had to charge these in just to get some stuff done. And he took out 2 units, well, three of my units with this, guys. They probably would have taken out these as well. So that's a big chunk of my army missing. That's like two of my breakpoint there from the Grave Guard and the zombies. So yeah. Well, there's a review of units. Zombies did amazing. I mean, obviously these ones are just a bunker, but they grew pretty big. These guys killed a Doom Wheel, which is always good. So it's their second one so far, and survived the game again. So loving those guys. I've actually got some models for those now, so I'm going to assemble those, and they'll look a bit better next time. Not that I'm saying Skaven don't look good, but they are still Skaven, and yeah. Crypt Holders didn't really do a lot, but they did hold up these Storm Vermin for a little bit, so that was good. The Grave Guard and Crypt Ghouls just got rolled over, but that's what happens when Plague Monks go into them. There's not a lot they can do about that, they just can't handle that kind of combat res. The Black Knights were awesome, as normal. The Vampire Lord won the game again. He's probably a bit powerful, but I'm still going to take him because he's awesome. Sorry. I mean,
that's what I'm always going to take. In fact, I'm going to start. I think against Vampire Counts, I'm even going to start measuring my everything.
As anything that seems overpowered, I ask a simple question, size, would you take it? And the answer is usually yes. So I never feel so bad. These skeletons did pretty well actually. They actually, the last guy standing was the standard bearer, which was nice. I think the army list worked pretty well. It's not that different from the 3,000 point list, apart from a bit less chaff, which I kind of would have been nice to hold this thing up. Because the Spirit Host isn't that great against Skaven. There's just so many magical attacks and things flying around that it's just not that much use. But I think I'd still take it just as a kind of general unit to have in a list. It wasn't a lot different to a 3,000 point game, so quite enjoyed it. Might try that again. See what Sai thinks. I certainly think Skaven are more powerful at this lower points level. I don't think they really gain much from an extra 600 points. I think Vampire Counts do. They gain a fair bit. It just means enough points for 2 Vampire Lords, I guess. I can't really think of anything else. So let's see what Sai has to say about the game.
Yeah, well, it was very good. I think in any other scenario, by now Ollie would probably be under the table, espousing the beardiness of various parts of my army. But I think particularly the scenario kind of played into the hands of how I had to have the army. It's often not a good idea to have your BSB, your General, and your Wizard Lord in the same unit. But at the end of the day, well, where am I going to put them? Am I going to put them on the front line and risk them getting ripped to pieces and not do anything? No, because Skaven characters are crap. No matter how you put it, no matter how you word it, they are crap. They can't fight. Anyone who gears them to fight anything other than, well, a Warlord might just be able to handle this lone guy on his own. Certainly the way I roll. Other than that, nothing too much else. I mean, even if you took Queek Headtaker, Queek Headtaker, to be fair, isn't bad, but he'd still get dog-meated against Vampire Lord. Vampire Lord is just sick powerful, but that's the army. If he wasn't, then Vampire Counts just wouldn't be worth playing, frankly. Because they need to be tough. But yeah, I think in small games, Vampire Counts would suffer because they wouldn't be able to barry up their vampires enough to have the. Well, I don't know actually.
I think even a small game, a normal vampire and a horse could be pretty powerful. So.
But yeah, it's certainly against sort of.
His power hasn't really diminished at all from
It's 3,000 points.
Well, no, because it is practically the exact same loadout.
Yeah, so I did max out my Lord allowance.
All bar 5 points, if I recall.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's that's fair enough, to be frank. I mean, it's like Skaven. There's no point in maxing out your Lord allowance unless you're trying to get bloody high leadership for all your units. I mean, the plan was like Ollie spotted straight away, was to basically tank these guys with slaves, because obviously with the general sat nearby them and a BSB, they're like leadership 10 till the end of time, which is awesome because the general can hack through 10 a turn, go for it. He can kill as many as he wants. I don't care. But yeah, it's just a shame. Cool. Imagine if we could combine strength in numbers with zombie hordes. It'd be unbreakable. The strength in numbers that never diminishes. It'd be incredible. But thankfully Ollie can't. Well, I suppose thankfully I can't either, because I'd be well doing that. But yeah, it was good. The spirit host really kind of screwed me over. I mean, I could say that next time I'd give him like a crappy little magic item, but frankly,
he's only got one attack, isn't he?
Frankly, the spirit host is going to gank him anyway. So
the spirit host did pretty well to last that long, because it was fighting against your 3 combat res. So it was bleeding wounds, but it just needed to hold out for that extra turn, which it did. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sometimes I think, well, maybe I should be using clan rats, but then you think, well, clan rats, it's a big.
Yeah, I'd much rather have slaves.
Extra, yeah. I mean, it's obviously against vampire counts, it hurts not having a banner, because other than the fact it's an extra 1 breakpoint, it's an extra 1 combat res, but usually that doesn't mean a damn thing. It's only against ethereal stuff that they can't normally hurt. But yeah, I was quite happy with how the army performed, because, like I say, the army is pretty much the same. I basically traded in 60 of the 80 clan rats that I normally take for a unit of storm vermin. I don't know whether I'm quite sold on them, but again, you're fighting crypt horrors, which are like toughness 5 with a 5-up regen. I mean, that's pretty damn good. One thing I also forgot, actually, was that they had the bloody banner of the Under Empire, which should have given them D3 combat res.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, well, you live and learn.
Still, it wouldn't have made a huge difference, because losing that crypt horror unit wouldn't really have affected the game.
No.
Even losing the necromancer wouldn't have.
No, well, it's kind of
nice to remember that.
Yeah, it's just worth maybe just put the flaming banner on it, because they're pretty good.
That would be a pretty good choice for it, actually.
Yeah, just in case I have to fight help, it's mine, or put down mine.
Well, in case you noticed, a lot of my army has regen.
Yeah.
I mean, only a 6-up for most of it, but that's
which
made a lot
of reason. Yeah.
You need the flaming banner just to kill this guy.
Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, this unit is just incredible. I mean, I think pretty much every time Ollie's played, it's won in the game.
Yeah.
But then again,
still when Manfred's leading it.
Well, even when he was leading it, he still did pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not really too much I can do against that. But I've just got to suck it up and do other things. I mean, like I say, if I tanked it for a couple of rounds, tanked them up for even a couple of rounds of combat, like certainly survived my close combat phase and his close combat phase, and then it would have been amazing, because that would have just held him up so long. And then obviously I by that point I could have got my general out of the way. But yeah, that's the way it goes. I got kind of lucky. I got a pretty epic plague off, killed 35 of those guys and halved that unit, which was just as well, because that 20 clan rats wouldn't have. Well, they probably would have eventually burned through the skeletons, but that would have been until about turn 10 or 11. By which point I think everyone would have got bored and gone home. But in another game, I think we would things might have been a little bit different had I been able to marshal all my forces and get things into the picture. So I don't know, things might have been a bit different, but yeah, that's the way it is. I think in future I might have to refine this list. I just need some redirectors, if anything, just to lay down to kind of get around. Because had I been able to place the help it basically did nothing all game. I missed out big time with the help it, which was very unfortunate. And pretty much one of the doom wheels was wasted as well, just simply because of the way it was deployed. But it's kind of the way it is. You've got one uber unit that guarantees slaughter. You just can't place anything near it that you want to keep. And I ended up just the help it milling around doing nothing until it was kind of forced to do or die. But yeah, it's hard to know what to do. If I'd managed to out deploy, then yeah, sure, certainly the help it would have been over here. And it would have really seen some benefit, because I think a unit of slaves in the zombies and then the help it in the side, I might have actually killed the bloody unit. But yeah, who knows? But it was good. I enjoyed it.
So how about man of the match for you?
Man of the match, certainly that unit.
Yeah,
definitely. Because it actually was the only unit that did anything.
I just ploughed through them like they weren't there.
Yeah. I mean, even though you got ridiculously jammy with all those saves that you made on the Grave Guard, I still kind of...
Yeah, because of the 19 dead crypt ghouls. Just too much combat res, isn't it?
Yeah.
Overloaded them.
Yeah. It was a shame.
I think, obviously for me it was the Spirit Host. Surviving that long.
Yeah, the Spirit Host kind of was the key. I mean, ethereal redirectors is just sick, man. Just sick.
I made a big mistake by charging it in though. I should have just used it as a redirector and would have bought me another turn. But it did so well to survive 3 turns instead of like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So because it did that, that's why it's man of the match, definitely.
Yeah. Because I think pretty much the only way I would have had to beat it would be probably a chieftain with just a 5-point magic weapon, but then that's like 65 points.
The Spirit Host is only 45.
65 points to kill something that's 45, but that's the nature of ethereal. I mean, it's just it's a pain in the arse when nothing else can take it. When the army isn't really geared to deal with it, it's sort of one of them things that in an all-comers list you've really got to take note of.
But then obviously you didn't have your warp lightning cannons in this game, but you do have warp lightning. I mean, you didn't have it in this game.
Those guys
could
kill.
You have plenty of magical equivalent stuff.
Oh yeah, there's stuff that could have killed it, but I think it was just that if I wanted that. Well, if I wanted them over there, I suppose they can really deploy wherever they want. They just have to be within 3 inches of the unit to get the save.
I think they have to deploy within 3 of the unit at the start when you put them down. But I think they can move off in their own direction.
Yeah.
They just don't get the save.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm pretty sure you have to deploy them within 3 when you deploy them.
Yeah, so really what I needed to have done was got one right up next to the slave unit. Next to the help.
Yeah, in fact, those are the perfect solution for Ethereal, because Ethereal's only toughness 3. Almost all of them are toughness 3. So
yeah, that's it.
Rip through them with those.
Yeah, hot warp lead and all. But yeah, it was better. I rather like the little bunker, because I mean, part of me wanted to have both slave units on this flank. And then just baited the drop there with the help it next to them. I kind of thought of that, and I thought, in retrospect, I probably should have just stuck a slave unit in the building, slave unit next door, had my general next to them behind with the weapon team next to the slave unit, and then the help it, and then the plague monks in the middle. But yeah, it's sort of very, very fine tuning, and it all kind of hinges on where these guys are going to go. I mean, I know the load out of that, and I know that it's going to be going after a hell pit. So I can, well, I had a fair chance of knowing that I was going to bait the drop. But yeah, unfortunately, feeding several units to that guy is about all I've got. But yeah, well, it's the way it is. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens next week for the next game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which may be 40k if we've got our asses in gear.
If we ever read the book.
Read the rule book. It's currently sat waiting the toilet down. So yeah, we'll have a dodgy curry and get a chance to read it.
Yeah, I'm off this weekend actually, so I've got a bit of time to do some reading. So
find out all those dirty ass combos. But yes, okay, well, it's been good. Thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next week.